from 2015. Two players trying to really establish themselves here in spring training of 2016. It's the Washington Nationals, the St. Louis Cardinals. Sit back, relax, enjoy it. It's spring training. Have some fun. Baseball comes your way next on the home of the Cardinals, Fox Sports Midwest. Jupiter, Florida for spring training just north of West Palm Beach. And this is Roger Dean Stadium, spring training home to the Cardinals. Last year, Mike Matheny's club was 162. And a familiar face is guiding the Washington Nationals here in 2016. Al Raboski, our good friend, Dusty Baker.
No doubt about it. 66 years of age, has some health issues. Got fired in Cincinnati, been out of baseball the last couple of years, but I think he's the right guy at the helm to try and take control of that clubhouse. There's no doubt the Nationals are very, very talented, but very underachieving. And I think they feel like with Dusty Baker's leadership, that thing will be a thing of the past.
Last year, the Nationals 83-79, second in the National League Eastern Division. Taylor, Turner, Robinson in the first. Heisey, the former Red, Stephen Drew, then Johnson, Skoll, Lobaton, and Keyboom will serve as the designated hitter. The Nationals finished 7 games back of the Mets a year ago in the National League East. A look at a young man that was a high draft pick. We'll talk about him as we go along throughout the afternoon. But Deck McGuire gets the call today for the Cardinals.
And signed with the Cardinals as a minor league free agent. You know, this is going to be his 4th organization. He was a former #1 draft pick of the Toronto Blue Jays. And now kind of insurance policy down there and should be a mainstay in the rotation for Memphis.
He's a big kid, 6'6", 220, right-hander. From Richmond, Virginia. He'll turn 27 on June 23rd, so Deck McGuire gets the call today. Let's go around the horn and take a look at the Cardinals defensively this afternoon. Brandon Moss gets the start in left. Randall Grichuk should be the everyday center fielder. He's in center today. Then it's Plummer in right. He's a young man that was a high draft choice 2 years ago. Carpenter, Diaz, Long, and Adams along the infield. Good defensive catcher. Eric Fryer is behind the plate. That, again, is presented by Dobbs Tire and Auto Centers.
Yeah, the life of today in baseball with these minor league free agents. You know, they get an invite to spring training. Both these clubs have 60 plus people in camp. They have their 40-man roster, and both of them are carrying 23 extra non-roster players that they get the invite.
And Al, you think about it from Dusty's perspective, he's just trying to get used to his 25-man roster, much less the 40-man, and then so on and so forth.
Yeah, I was just talking to Chris Spire, who has been with Dusty for many years as his first base coach. He said, hey, the last 2 years of amount of baseball, I didn't keep an eye on people.
There's a ground ball hit to third, taken there by Matt Carpenter. Over to Matt Adams for the first out, and Taylor is retired.
And that's one thing you hope you see from McGuire is a lot of ground balls. But Dusty, has guided the Giants to postseason. He had Cincinnati. He had the Cubs in postseason. And he wants to be bring the first championship to the D.C. area since 1924.
Trey Turner with a ground ball hit to second base and not in time. Turner can really run. Beats it down the line. And he will be the everyday shortstop this year, it looks like, for the Washington Nationals.
He was the #1 draft pick out of from the Padres. And, yes, he can fly. He's got a real strong arm. He can fly. Just a question, will he hit enough to have that leadoff spot at shortstop this year?
Think about Ian Desmond, who has moved on from the Nationals, turned down a $100+ million contract. He's now with the Texas Rangers, their shortstop the last handful of years. And it's one of those deals you say, boy, he should have taken it. He did not. He got $9 million, though, from Texas for a one-year deal.
He also turned down the one-year offer, qualifying offer at 15.9 or 8, something like that.
Here's Clint Robinson. Last year at this time, the Nationals were the consensus pick to win the division. Many felt they would win the World Series. However, they crashed in August. They were basically done by the second week of September. And Robinson has a chance to show what he can do here in the next 5 to 6 weeks for Dusty Baker. He is at first base today. Their normal first baseman, the everyday first baseman for Washington, will be Ryan Zimmerman, the 31-year-old.
Well, health is an issue for the Nationals, and I was kind of almost laughing.
Turner was leaning in a quick move.
Oh, he took a false step, and McGuire did the right thing, stepped off and threw over there. So you can see he starts to go, then something forced him back, and McGuire just stepped off the mound, or off the rubber, and threw over to first.
Here's a 1-1. Here's a broken bat hit into shallow right field. There's Plummer, makes the catch. 2 down. But you were laughing about what?
Well, the fact that, everybody talked about the injuries that the Nationals had, and they had something like 227 games lost by injury. The Cardinals, by the way, with their 100-win season, had 772 games missed. So 3 times as many.
And you think about the players that the Cardinals lost, too. It's not just the number of games, but these were guys that were, substantial parts to the team. Matt Adams, Matt Holliday, Adam Wainwright, Yadier Molina. List goes on and on. There's a strike to Heisey.
You think about it, you lose your ace, you lose your 7th and 8th inning guys in the bullpen, then you lose your 3 and 4 hitters for most of the season. Yadi towards the end of the season, and yet the Cardinals still, some way, found how to, for the 9th time in their storied history, to win 100 games.
Last time they did that was in 2005.
At 4 and 5, they were over 100 games both years.
Of the 19 teams the Cardinals faced last year, they had a losing record against just 3 of them. That's it. Saw Fryer fake the throw to first. He's your catcher today. And he grew up idolizing his manager today, Mike Matheny.
It's the same high school, right?
That's right.
And the same coach. Well, apparently was down here earlier this spring.
Runner goes on a 1-1 off-speed pitch. Throw to second, not in time. Good jump by Trey Turner in the stolen base.
Danny, you touched on it right there. He got the perfect pitch because he got the off-speed pitch. He had a tremendous jump. He's got the good speed. Fryer had no chance to get him out.
Stop.
Eric Fryer, very defensive-minded catcher, is throwing out over 30% of base stealers in the minor leagues. The count of 2 balls and 1 strike on Heisey.
Jumbo.
Heisey bounced around a little bit, and he was a pretty good pinch hitter. 4th or 5th outfielder with Dusty and the Reds a few years back.
Here's a 3-1 pitch. And then missed low and away, so a walk to Heisey, and it brings in Stephen Drew. JD's brother that's been around for a long time.
Free agency hasn't been real kind to him, has it?
No, it has not. I know you remember, and you see the numbers with Boston a year ago, and he won a world championship the year before against the Cardinals, but in many ways he grew up at Busch Stadium. Busch Stadium, too. We'd see him working out with Jose Oquendo, taking ground ball after ground ball before games.
You can tell that at that time he was going to be a big leaguer.
Certainly defensively. And there's a strike.
Saw the 17 home runs a year ago, but that average just a 201.
So runners at first and second. Deck McGuire, Cardinals starter today, will deal to Stephen Drew. In the dirt, nice play by Fryer. Just to follow up on what we were talking about with Eric Fryer, he's a 30-year-old that signed as a minor league free agent, non-roster invitee to Cardinals camp. He did appear in the big leagues a year ago, 15 games with Minnesota. Matheny and Fryer separated by 15 years in age, but they know each other quite well from Reynoldsburg, Ohio. 1 ball, 1 strike. And the 1-1 by McGuire. Taken for a strike. Inning started with a ground out by Taylor. The Turner, the infield hit, fly out by Robinson, Heisey the walk, and now a count of 1 ball to 2 strikes on Stephen Drew.
Wind blowing out, cross from left to right. Seemed like the ball was knocked down yesterday quite a bit, and it looks like Plummer.
That's hit sharply on a hop to second base, taken there by Colton Wong. And speaking of Colton, he will lead it off when we come back, and there's no score. Extra bases here for Wong. He's become a power hitter. Have a night, Colton Wong. Is this fun to see?
My fellow Americans.
On down to spring training in Jupiter, Florida. Make sure you take advantage and do it. Beautiful setting for baseball. The Cardinals playing host to the Nationals. Bottom of the first rolls in, and there's no score. Blake Treinen will get the start today for the Washington Nationals. And Treinen, who's worked out in the bullpen in previous years, will get the call by Dusty Baker. He's a 27-year-old from Osage City, Kansas.
Another big kid, like you said, last year pitching out of the bullpen, made his first opening day roster. Didn't complete the entire year at the big league level. But they find him to be a ground ball specialist. He's a hard thrower also. Power arm, really tough on the right-handed batters. And the Cardinals have 5 lefties in the lineup today.
0-1 pitch is taken for a ball by Colton Wong. Matter of fact, his sinker, he's got a very good sinker. Talking about Treinen, generated 80% ground balls a year ago. Lefties were much better against him.
The one thing about him, too, is he'd shown a tendency in the minor leagues that he had very good control. But one of the knocks against him last year was he always walked the first guy.
Here's a 2-1. And Wong looks at a high strike.
Okay, Angel Hernandez.
Colton a year ago hit 262 with 11 home runs, and he drove in 61. He also had 15 stolen bases. Here's a 2-2. Get out of play. BJC Healthcare difference maker, the pre and then the post All-Star numbers for Colton Wong as he dipped considerably in that second half.
And that's one of the things, trying to find that happy medium, keep him.
Wong lines it to third, and the catch is made by Skoll.
Colton kind of had that great first half and kind of wound, and then kind of ran out of gas the second half. Remember the year before he had the slow first half and then came on gangbusters the second half. So still trying to put it all together, a full, solid season.
Aledmys Diaz, Cardinals getting a long look at him early on here in spring. We saw him play third base for 5 innings yesterday. Played shortstop against Florida Atlantic. Hit 380 in 14 games at AAA as he was promoted. Then went to the Arizona Fall League and hit 315. And did so with some power, too.
And we talked about it. A Cuban defector signed a 4-year contract with the Cardinals for $8 million. This would be his 3rd year.
The 2-0.
And last season at one point was taken off the 40-man roster. It just didn't hit. He had a long layoff, more than a year from playing baseball, as he was trying to find established residency so he could sign a professional contract.
Many of the regulars in the lineup today for the Cardinals as Diaz taps it foul. I find it interesting in today's lineup that you see Colton Wong batting leadoff and then Matt Carpenter is batting third. A lot of talk about who would be the leadoff man for the Cardinals coming into 2016.
And if Colton Wong were to win the spot, I think third spot is where you would put Carpenter.
So then the question would be, where do you put Matt Holliday?
Well, I think I'd put him cleanup. Matt has been our number 3 hitter, but Carpenter has said, okay, until you can show me or prove to me that there's a better leadoff man.
The strikeout of Diaz.
That he kind of wants to stay in that spot, and it makes some sense, but Matt Carpenter is just too good of a player and hitter that he should not have trouble hitting in other spots in the order.
The numbers are glaring, though, when you look
unbelievably glaring.
Carpenter from the leadoff spot as opposed to other places in the lineup. And he hit .312 from the leadoff spot last year. 22 home runs from the top spot. If you're wondering, the all-time high prior to last year was Lou Brock with 21 in 1967.
Big hello to Lou Brock. Hopefully he's tuning in, and I just can't wait for opening day and see Lou walk out there. The other Hall of Famers, and that's his goal. We set that a couple, back in November or December, wherever it was, saw him. And he's going to make that goal, and I'm going to have goosebumps, tears in my eyes, and everything else.
1 ball, 1 strike, 2 outs, and nobody on for Matt Carpenter. That's taken for a ball. Whether or not he bats leadoff, the Cardinals' bottom line need him in the lineup. They are 41 games above 500 when he's in the lineup the last couple of years.
And you know, last year he ended up leading the club in home runs and RBIs.
And Carpenter hits it in the air out to shallow left. Reed Johnson shading from the sun, and it'll be the shortstop Trey Turner makes the catch. Cardinals down in order. 1 inning in the books. No score.
Have to use names, but when somebody looks like I feel like, hey, this guy can really suit us well in the leadoff spot, then that's when I'd be willing to do that. But at this point, you know, I think given our personnel, I feel like I would suit their best.
So that's Matt Carpenter talking about being the leadoff man for the Cardinals. Again, the numbers don't lie. He's been terrific in that spot. Here's an 0-1 pitch to Reed Johnson, who singles into center field. The logical choice, Al, if it's not Matt Carpenter, it would be Colton Wong. He did bat leadoff over 200 at-bats a year ago and hit just 247.
Right. He's got to improve his on-base percentage. And there's some people that even throw out Piscotty because he has a high on-base percentage. Could be potentially a leadoff man.
And it brings in Skoll, the third baseman, following the single up the middle by Reed Johnson. Deck McGuire is the pitcher for St. Louis. That's taken low. Adam Wainwright, Michael Wacha, Mike Leake will make their initial starts of spring for the Cardinals in the next 3 days. Wainwright will pitch against the Mets here tomorrow, and we'll have that for you on Fox Sports Midwest. Wacha will pitch against Minnesota at Fort Myers coming up on Tuesday. Mike Leake will go against Miami here on Wednesday.
And I think the way things are right now, Matt Holliday will make the debut tomorrow. He was supposed to play yesterday, but there was a late scratch, little knot in his lower back.
No need to push it.
No.
But something that you don't really look into and say it's serious. So fans are wondering if it's serious or not. We're told it is not, and they anticipate that it'll be in the lineup tomorrow.
And I think the one thing, too, is people, I think, are going to be pleasantly surprised with the weight loss for Matt Holliday. He looks in great shape.
Sure does.
Might have thought he got a little too thick in the lower legs. Maybe that contributed to the quad problems, but he looks in great shape. Lost a little bit of the bulk. And you and I were both down here at the fantasy camp in January, and we saw he and Carpenter in the cage every single day. So he is not going to be set back very long at all.
You're wondering about Yadier Molina maybe tuning in for the first time this spring training. After 2 surgeries on his left thumb, he'll begin swinging a bat this week. That's according to Mike Matheny. Might even get into a game to catch. Runners at first and second. And that pitch is taken for a strike. Jose Lobaton, a switch hitting catcher, getting the start today for Washington. Here's an 0-1 pitch. Now 0-2. Took something off that pitch.
Yes, did. Sold it well with his arm action, looking like the fastball, and then the good location down and away. Say he has a very good sinker. He went to Georgia Tech, and it was a pretty good #1 draft pick, like he was Kevin Brown a few years before.
Here's an 0-2 pitch. Taken high. The Cardinals in their bullpen today. Kevin Segrist, who has been a little stiff. He's had some soreness. Cardinals looking to have him make his first appearance of the spring. Trevor Rosenthal, Jonathan Broxton, all available here today. There's a 1-2.
Just in case we didn't have enough pitchers available today, they brought in a couple guys from the minor leagues.
Absolutely. Why not? That's what spring training is all about.
So we're playing with about a 65-man roster today.
I'll let you figure out who goes in. The 2-2. And a strikeout. First of the afternoon for Deck McGuire, who is, as Al told you, a high draft choice. First round, 11th overall. Back in 2010 by Toronto.
Last year he was released from the A's, and then the Dodgers picked him up. Which in Boston and Oklahoma City a year ago.
It's the 4th organization he's been with: the Blue Jays, A's, Dodgers, and now St. Louis. Spencer Keybomb is the designated hitter. Inning started with a base hit to center by Johnson. Skoll the walk. Strikeout of Lobaton. So runners at first and second. And just one out.
Come on, right to him.
Wanted to throw behind the runner at first, Fryer, but lost connection with the ball. He has some talent as a juggler.
Oh, really? You just saw it right there, right?
And he's got work to do, but
take the glove off and then figure it out. Here's a 1-0 pitch. That sinker again misses low. The big move for Washington this offseason was that they fired Matt Williams, brought in Dusty Baker. They did have a 3-year deal for second baseman Daniel Murphy. Prior to that, they tried to trade for Brandon Phillips of the Reds. They also tried to make a move for Jason Hayward and fell short there. Popped up. That'll find the seats out of play.
Well, Espinosa, can play second base. Defensively, he's an outstanding player, but will he hit enough? And there's some talk that he will be given the first shot at shortstop. And then, obviously, if he doesn't, then you have Trey Turner, who's playing shortstop for him today.
2 balls and 1 strike. That misses in. Ian Desmond has moved on along with Denard Span. Jordan Zimmerman, $100 million+ contract with Detroit. Drew Storn was part of a trade with the Blue Jays. Here's a 3-1 pitch. And a ground ball that's pulled foul. On Dusty Baker's staff this year, pitching coach is Mike Maddox. He replaces Steve McCaddy. Mentioned Chris Spire is here. First base coach is Davey Lopes. So some new faces for the Nats in 2016.
Rick Shue, been around a while as a hitting coach, a couple different organizations as the hitting coach, but Dusty, because he was such an outstanding player, can really have an impact in that department also. And the one thing too about Dusty with his relationship with Davey Lopes, every team that Davey Lopes has gone to, their base running has improved dramatically. And it's interesting, Rick Singfield used to live next door to Davey Lopes in Los Angeles when he was a player. And he told the Rex that he always wanted to coach for the Cardinals.
Nationals start the runners. It's an error committed by Diaz. Cardinals committed a couple of errors yesterday, and the bases will be loaded and only one out. You wonder if just starting the runners affected Diaz just a bit.
Yeah, he's got to come in here. It's kind of the do or die, and misconnects. This field looks like it's in very good shape, but it rolls off the bottom of the webbing.
So it brings in Taylor with the bases loaded. Grounded out to third to start this game. The infield is drawn in. And a ground ball, base hit left side. One run is in. They'll hold the runner at third. And Taylor is 1 for 2 now with an RBI. 1-0 Washington. Drives in his second run this spring.
McGuire's trying to get a ground ball. He gets one, but it finds a hole through the left side. Got that ball up a little bit. Lucky it was hit on the ground.
Here's Trey Turner. Reached on an infield base hit his first time up, and a breaking ball drops in for a strike.
Turner was a former #1 draft pick of the Padres, and then came over to Washington in a 3-team trade middle of last year.
And he had to stay in the Padres organization because he was a first-round pick, and you couldn't trade him until a full calendar year. So he was playing for the organization he wouldn't be a part of. That's trapped. Wong steps on the bag and safe at first as a run does score. Wong nearly turned the double play. The runners had to stay put to make sure that he did not catch it. He didn't. It was a trap. Stepped on the bag at second, gets the out, but a run does score to make it 2-0.
Well, we saw last year that Colton Wong made spectacular plays. 19 web gems, lead the ball club. Almost comes up with another one here. Throw a little bit wide. Adams tries to stay on the bag, and kind of as he's trying to almost jump but keep his foot on the bag, he kind of extended beyond the ball and hit him in the palm, popped out.
Here's Clint Robinson with 2 outs. Robinson first time up, flied out to right. Very breezy, windy afternoon, blowing out to right field here at Roger Dean Stadium. And Turner is a threat to steal, and he lines this one into center field, and Robinson is out. So Dusty Baker, the new man at the helm of the Washington Nationals, his club up 2-0. Getting loose in the pen. That's a right-hander. We'll tell you about that momentarily. Let's go around the horn. Washington's defense presented by Dobbs. Johnson, Taylor, Heisey. That trio in the outfield. Skoll, Turner, Drew, Robinson along the infield. Lobaton is behind the plate. And it's our first look at Randal Grichuk. Last year, Randal, 103 games, hit .276. I am so excited. I know you are too, Al, to see what he could do if he can stay healthy with 500 to 600 at bats.
You know, that's the whole question mark. And it's not only is it Grichuk, but it's Pham, it's Adams, guys like that. We're going to get an opportunity. And, you know, last season when he broke onto the scene, we all were enamored with his power. Strikes out a little too much, but has that power potential.
And the 1-1 is taken outside. He had a back injury twice he dealt with, right elbow, then the sports hernia, had surgery, and that was just in 2015 alone.
I think the Angels gave up on him because of all the injuries through his minor league career.
I talked to him about that, but we were at Dodger Stadium, and I said, and he was on a good run at that point. I said, why aren't you still playing for the Angels in some form or fashion? And he said, I don't know this for a fact, but I think what you said, they gave up on me because of the injuries. I had some odd injuries along the way, and maybe they felt I was injury prone. 2-2 is hit sharply and fair inside the third base line. Grichuk on his way to second base. Leadoff double for Randal Grichuk. Think about this, folks. 323 at bats last year. 47 extra base hits for Grichuk. 47 in limited time.
And that was, you know, second among all National League rookies, and he had about half as many at bats as most of those premier relievers. He got consideration for Rookie of the Year, but I think because he didn't start with the team, or the fact that, you know, he had those two disablements, you know, he didn't have the at bats. But a lot of the Cardinals' success is going to depend on Randal Grichuk, Piscotty, Adams, these guys, Pham, staying healthy.
Man on deck, Brandon Moss. Adams is swing and a miss. It was late May, a right quad injury that required surgery for Matt Adams, and we only saw him in 60 games. 175 at bats, hit .240 with 5 home runs, drove in 24.
First came on the scene a couple years ago. The power was there. Home runs are down since that time.
0-1 is fouled back, 0-2.
I was just trying to feel for his timing, but talking to not only Adams and Moss, the two guys that are going to be competing for the first base job, both of them feel like they're 100% healthy. It's just now trying to get back into finding their groove.
Runner at second base, Randal Grichuk, and an 0-2 pitch to Adams. Long look, and here it comes. And Matt skies one into shallow left. Reed Johnson under it, fighting the sun, and makes the catch. Back to the bag at second goes Grichuk. You will see that in spring training more than any other time in the year, where these outfielders are fighting the wind, fighting the high sky, if you will, the sun. I mean, this is something we see every single day here.
Yeah, and it's the wind can be devastating here in Florida. Also, you get one of these days where it's just a bright sunshine and no clouds in the sky, and it's just very difficult to find those high fly balls.
His 32-year-old Brandon Moss, acquired from Cleveland last year, as he was traded for Rob Kaminsky. One out, runner at second, and Moss takes a ball low. He's been with the Red Sox, the Pirates, the Phillies, the A's, the Indians, and now the Cardinals. And despite the hip injury, combined with Cleveland, still hit 19 home runs a year ago.
And just 5 with the Cardinals, but they feel he's 100%. He'll be back hitting 20-plus home runs. I was a little surprised. He's playing left field today, but I noticed in his career, he's actually played more outfield than he has first base. that's one of the things that helps him, his cause, is because he has that little versatility where Adams is strictly just a first baseman.
Here's a 1-1. To follow up on your point, it was his wife that told him try first base when he was at the end of his rope and giving up baseball. And Bob Melvin said, relax, we like you, when he was with the A's. And his wife said, if you've exhausted everything, trying to go overseas and playing in the minor leagues, try first base. If you can hit, you can hit. And he can hit. Shot out to left. The catch is made by Johnson, and it's a double play. Nicely done. Reed Johnson gets it back into Stephen Drew. A couple of veterans turn the double plays. It goes 7-4 to end the Cardinals' threat here in the bottom of the second. Getting loose in the Cardinals' pen. That was Trevor Rosenthal, and he'll get the call, the closer for St. Louis. It is spring training, but you're trying to get your work in, so he comes into this ball game in the third inning.
I like it when you bring your closers in earlier in the ball game, because if you wait till the ninth inning, now you're facing a whole squad of Scribinis, 4A. Guys are going back to the minor leagues, and maybe bench guys, so face a little better hitters.
Rosenthal notched a club record 48 saves a year ago. Might have gotten to 50 if he wasn't shut down in the final weekend of the season after the Cardinals had wrapped up the division in Pittsburgh. Had a tremendous year in those 48 saves, single season wise, the all-time record in Cardinals history. Quickly 0-2 on Heisey.
And think about the last 2 years, he leads all major league pitchers with 93 saves in that time. So back-to-back 45 plus saves, 45 and then 48 for that record you talked about.
He's only 25 from Lee's Summit, Missouri. 0-2 pitch to Heisey, and it hit him. So in the 0-2, he's hit by the pitch, and the leadoff man is aboard.
Running that ball in, you can see a little bit set up outside, and look at that ball just take off and run in, and just grazes Heisey. So he's walked and now hit by a pitch.
Trevor Rosenthal, along with Adam Wainwright, Matt Holliday, Matt Carpenter, all a part of Cardinal Glennon Children's Medical Center and Homers for Health and K's for Kids. We'll have a press conference coming up after the game today. Ground ball, that's off of Rosenthal. It's Stephen Drew, and let's hope that Rosie's all right. Mike Matheny pops right out of his seat to check on his closer.
Well, obviously, that's the nightmare of spring training. You want guys to get their work in, but you always worry about somebody getting hurt. And I'm sure, they'll ask where it hit him. It looked like the lower extremity. I was more concerned about when he tried to chase the ball, and it looked like he went to plant his feet to set and throw. It looked like his foot slipped on him a little bit. So maybe the right leg, and then watch right there. That's when you turn your ankle. That, to me, was more of a dangerous situation than being hit by the pitch or hit by the batted ball. Now, you hope it hits meat, but it looked like it might have gotten around the ankle. But here's where you see where you can turn an ankle. That left ankle right there is turf gave way. Chris Conroy is Cardinals assistant trainer and also one of our umpires today.
2 Chris Conroys.
Oh, they're not the same?
They're not.
Oh.
So, Rosenthal has come on and seen the first 2 reach. On an 0-2 pitch, he hit Heisey, and then it was Drew with the base hit off of Rosenthal. There's a look at Chris Conroy, the umpire. Chris Conroy is also not that guy, but another guy, the assistant trainer for St. Louis. Here's Reed Johnson. And the first pitch is a strike. Johnson a single to center field and scored the first run of this game back in the 2nd inning.
Yeah, Reed Johnson, one of those guys that on a very good or championship caliber team, he's a good guy coming off the bench. And I have to commend John Mozeliak for improving the Cardinal bench dramatically this offseason.
1 ball, 1 strike. When you think about the bench this year, you could have Moss or Adams coming off the bench, Jed Jerko. I mean, that's pretty good firepower there coming off the bench in terms of power.
Brian Pena.
Yep.
Doesn't have the power, but he's a good little hitter, particularly against left-handed pitching. So, at times I think the last couple of years, Cardinals would have that championship caliber team, but really playing with a 22, 23-man roster.
At times last year that you just felt the Cardinals would not use Pete Kozma. And Randy Choate towards the end of the season wasn't used all that much either.
He didn't use Borges, and Tony Cruz didn't get no playing time because of the value of Yachty catching every day. So, I mean, you were playing with a 22, 23-man roster.
Here's a 2-1. Taken low and outside. An aspect of the game that really improved for Trevor Rosenthal a year ago, the walks. They were down considerably. Year before, it was nearly 6 walks per 9. Last season, it dropped to 3 per 9. So it was a big difference.
And it always seemed like he walked the first man.
3-1 pitch. Little check swing that will stay foul.
Now, 2 years ago, when he would get in trouble like that, he had the ability to get out of it, but it caused him to throw so many extra pitches. Worked on it much better a year ago. But it was really, that would have been under a microscope because the Cardinal offense was so low scoring that it seemed like every single game there was no margin for error for the starters and relievers.
3-2 the count. Reed Johnson at the plate. Outfield is shallow. They shade him a bit to right center. And he draws a walk. So the first 3 have reached here against Trevor Rosenthal. Let's take a look at Al Hrabosky's Toyota keys to the game.
Well, I think it was just, we saw the biggest part of it is don't get anybody hurt. You got to stay within yourself, particularly when you have a lot of these young players in spring training. Obviously, their mindset is they want to impress. They want to, stay on the big league roster as long as they can. And the likelihood you try to do more than you possibly can and you hurt yourself.
So here is the third baseman, Matt Skoll, fouls it back.
Pretty good rip there.
Inning started with Heisey being hit by a pitch. Then Stephen Drew singled off of Rosenthal. Reed Johnson a walk. So the base is loaded and nobody down.
I was talking with Waka and Wainwright the other day, and I was saying this is my type of spring training game. You know, anybody could go out there and throw 3 pitches and get 3 outs. But I wanted work, so I would stay out there a while.
And Trevor may disagree right now.
But you get your work in, you know. I always wanted to throw more than others.
Here's a 1-1. And it's popped up. Fryer will give it a look, and that'll find the seats out of play just below us here at Roger Dean Stadium.
I think just about every year I felt like I was the worst pitcher in Florida. But you know what? I went from being the worst pitcher in Florida to flip a switch the next day. The season would start, and you know I had a 0 ERA, and I'm off to the races.
Yeah.
So it's just get your work in and pronounce yourself ready to play.
1-2 pitch taken high, and that's for guys like a Rosenthal or a Wainwright. Some of the others, they will work on pitches that you may not see all that much in the regular season, but it's something to try to improve their repertoire as they head to the mound. Here's a 2-2, and a fly ball lifted out to right field. The catch is made. Plummer with the grab, quickly back into the infield. 2 runners tag up. That makes it 3-0 Washington. RBI for Skoll, his 4th here in spring. Nobody getting loose in the Cardinals' pen, so this inning is all about Rosenthal to get his work in. 3-0 Washington. And Jose Lobaton will be the hitter. Struck out his first time up. Trevor would love the double play here. See the number 26 on that glove. Some of the numbers have changed going into 2016 with the departure of Jason Hayward. That swung on and missed. 1 ball, 1 strike.
What's Mike's number this year? Went back to 22. Mike Matheny. There's Izzy's old number, 44.
Off-speed pitch lifted into right. That will drop. It's a fair ball. A run will score. Throw back into the bag at second base. Runners at first and third. That makes it 4-0 Washington.
That's what it's all about, getting your work in. You don't want to go out there, but it's there. Plummer was last year's #1 draft pick for the Cardinals. Nick Plummer. Doesn't look like he has much of an arm at all.
And he's been playing center field when he was drafted and then initially in the minor leagues. That's something the Cardinals have talked about they want to improve, but they love his bat and think that he can be a productive player eventually.
The slash type hitter. Not a lot of power either, but he looks very comfortable defensively.
Spencer Keybom is at the plate, the designated hitter. Runners at first and third. What has turned out to be a long appearance now for Rosenthal. That's pitch number 20. So because of that, Cardinals get a left-hander up and throwing in their pen. That's Luttrell getting loose. He was part of the John Lackey deal with Boston a couple years ago. 1 ball and 2 strikes.
You think Mike Matheny and Derek Lilliquist are worried about Rosenthal getting hit? No.
No, sir. Late with that swing and a strikeout for Rosenthal. I would say, and I'm sure you would agree, that the thing that they get worried about as far as the aspect of looking at guys like Rosenthal or some of the others is just the pitch count this early in spring. Well, you just want to be careful with these guys.
Yeah, but I mean, the thing is, too, is guys come in tremendous shape.
Sure.
It's not like the days where I played when guys would go to spring training to get in shape.
Yeah, that was the idea then, huh?
Yeah. Well, I mean, guys had to have jobs. Guys be working through the winter and didn't have the luxury to, train year round.
Back to the top of the lineup in Taylor. He's 1 for 2 with an RBI. And it's no balls and 2 strikes.
Here's another aspect too, Dan, is, you know, today with every game on TV, the scrutiny that you see, and you know, they feel like, you know, they have to perform right out of the gate.
It's swung on to miss, so back-to-back strikeouts for Trevor Rosenthal. But the Nationals add to their lead here at Roger Dean Stadium. It's 4-0 Washington. Sports Midwest is brought to you in part by Bud Light, who reminds fans to stay in the game and drink responsibly. And by Menards. Save big money at Menards on all your home improvement needs. So new pitcher is in for Washington, a left-hander. It's 4-0, the Nationals with the lead. Garcia will lead it off for the St. Louis Cardinals.
Matt Grace, who pitched at Syracuse last year, 38 games, 0-2, 2.40 ERA. Promoted to Washington, where he was 2-1, 4.24 ERA and 26 relief appearances. From California, 6'3", 204.
Well, you have a good game yesterday. You're back in the lineup today, and that's the case here with Anthony Garcia, who's serving as the DH. He was in right field yesterday, and if you missed the ball game, made a couple of really good plays defensively, and also had a double that scored 2, and eventually the Cardinals won the game.
Had the game-winning hit, and as you said, he threw out runner at the plate, completed a double play to get out of a base-loaded jam, and then made a spectacular over-the-shoulder diving catch, rolling, tumbling, and hold on to the ball in right field. We saw him last year in spring training, and looked like he was pretty comfortable in the outfield. And I was talking to Chris Maloney. He said he's carrying a little better attitude, not a better attitude, but an attitude like, hey, I feel like I'm equal to these players and I can play at this level.
Isn't that half the battle sometimes?
It really is. And a lot of times a young player will have the physical tools good enough to play at this level, but they don't believe in themselves yet. And if you don't believe in yourself, how's Mike Matheny and the coaching staff going to believe in you?
3-1 pitch and a ground ball that's foul. So if you missed it yesterday, here's a look at the Cardinals right fielder. Garcia coming through with the bases loaded against Miami in the 8th. And that would score 2. And a couple of very good defensive plays as well. There's the ball that Al spoke of earlier, going back and tumbling towards the track. 3-2 the count. Nick Plummer is on deck. And that swung on and missed. So Grace comes in and strikes out the first man he sees. Cardinals have one hit today. That was a double by Randall Grichuk, and he was stranded back in the second inning. And brings in Nick Plummer.
And he's lucky now he gets to face a left-hander. But Plummer was last year's #1 draft pick for the Cardinals. High school player. He was signed a $2.1 million bonus, the 5th largest draft bonus in franchise history. And the largest for a position player since J.D. Drew back in 1998.
And here's a 1-0 pitch to Plummer. Al, he was born in 1996, which was Tony La Russa's first year in St. Louis.
Kind of brings it.
Wow.
96, huh?
Wow.
5'10". Drew 39 walks and scored 43 runs in his pro debut. So he's got a very keen eye and high average swing with gap power as he matures.
1-2 pitch. And he's hit by that pitch.
Gets that leg up, and you got to put it down before you can get out of the way. It looks like it gets him on the back forearm. One of the little things inside the game, you know, when you got a left-handed pitcher, he's facing a left-hander, and would probably be Grace's role, you know, as a reliever, and you hit him.
A throw down to second base, and they got him. Trying to steal was Nick Plummer, who does have good speed. Had 8 steals last year for the Cardinals, and this time he's caught.
It didn't look like he got a real good jump, and Robertson throws him out. That's picked by Stephen Drew at second base and drops the tag down.
Here's a 1-0 pitch to Fryer. Mentioned that Fryer grew up in the area that Mike Matheny was born and raised in. And he grew up idolizing Matheny along the way in his baseball career. A 30-year-old that signed as a minor league free agent. They both had the same youth instructor, Ron Golden, played for the same high school coach, Dave Starling, and they met each other, Mike Matheny along with Eric Fryer, back in December of 2014 when Matheny was presented a key to his hometown. He has seen big league action before. 15 games with Minnesota a year ago.
Time with Pittsburgh in the big leagues. Back a little bit of 11 and 12. Minnesota 13, 14, 15.
So 3-2 the count with 2 outs and nobody on. And he draws a walk.
And Dan, because Brian Pena can't come off the bench as a pinch hitter, you know, there is a possibility, depending on, you know, how quickly Molina comes back, that there could be a possibility of the Cardinals carrying the 3 catchers when they break camp. So very important for Fryer to impress here.
In steps Colton Wong. He's in the Cardinals leadoff spot in this lineup that does include Matt Carpenter. And Colton just signed a 5-year deal, an extension. Would have been eligible for arbitration in November. So it's the similar style in terms of approaching a contract the Cardinals have taken with Alan Craig, Matt Carpenter, and now Colton Wong. It's a race to the bag. Grace is there and out. Just gets Colton Wong by a step. So the Cardinals strand a runner. First man they have left on today. This race to the bag. We played 3 here at Roger Dean. Show 2016 with Cardinals all-inclusive tickets. Choose from the UMB Champions Club, Bank of America Club, Legends Club, and more. All-inclusive tickets include food, drinks, plus a great view of the game. Get yours today at Cardinals.com. Jonathan Broxton is the new thrower for St. Louis. Broxton coming back and signed a 2-year deal with the Cardinals after St. Louis traded for him at the deadline. And the first pitch is a strike.
Broxton didn't do anything last year to disappoint the ball club, and finds that 2-year contract, and I think the Cardinals are getting a real bonus because Jordan Walden looks like he's going to be healthy this year. That could be a real plus.
One pitch is lifted in the air. Plummer over near the stands, and it's out of play. Bullpen ERA a year ago was number 3 in Major League Baseball overall. They ranked number 1 in wins and saves. In terms of their pitching, the starters were some of the best in all of baseball. Rosenthal had the 48 saves. We saw an awful lot of Segrist and Manus getting to Trevor Rosenthal.
Segrist led the National League in appearances, and Manus was in the top 5 also. But there's more choices down there for Mike Matheny. Days when Rosenthal made any arrest with some of these former closers like Broxton, Walden, and the South Korean, that the all-time saves leader in Korea, and they had 90 saves the last couple of years in Japan.
So some of the names that you think about in that bullpen: Rosenthal, Walden, Manus, Broxton, Segrist, Tyler Lyons, who's out of options. Maybe even a Marco Gonzalez, who started yesterday, and there's a good breaking ball. Sokolovich, Mitch Harris, Sam Tuivalala, Tim Cooney, Dean Kekeffer. So the Cardinals do have depth in their bullpen. This is Trey Turner.
In my mind, I think Cooney and Gonzalez both had injury-plagued seasons last year. Send them to Memphis, let them pitch. They're still young pitchers, and I'd keep them in that rotation and let them learn.
Here's a 1-1 by Broxton. Now 1-2. One out, nobody on. 1 ball and 2 strikes. The fly ball lifted into center. Wynn knocks that down to Randall Grichuk. Grichuk, we talk about him being the everyday center fielder for the Cardinals here in 2016. Not a ton of experience out there. He's getting his chance with Peter Borges gone. Hayward signed with Chicago. John Jay now with San Diego. Played there 37 times last year. And he's played 315 major league innings. That's it in center field. The Cardinals are counting on him being the everyday guy.
I remember when Grichuk was with the Angels and playing at Little Rock AA, he won a minor league gold glove playing center field. So I think it's something that he will adapt. Very good defensively. He's got the speed. He covered the ground out there.
One pitch is pulled foul by Chris Heisey.
Heisey and Broxton had been teammates at Cincinnati.
Heisey trying to break in with an outfield that will consist of Jason Worth, Michael Taylor, Bryce Harper, the MVP, Ben Revere that they picked up. Here's an 0-2 pitch. Revere came over in the Drew Storen deal with Toronto. Jason Worth, a mainstay in the outfield, along with Harper. Michael Taylor played nearly 1,000 games in the minor leagues before making his debut in the majors. Two and two the count.
about Broxton, big man, doesn't talk an awful lot, very quiet. But when you talk to his ex-teammates, yeah, they just talk about what a great team player he is. Great person to have in that clubhouse. But he doesn't talk much, does he?
3-2 pitch to Heisey. And it's taken for a ball. So 2-out walk. And that'll bring in Stephen Drew. Heisey's been on base 3 times in this game with 2 walks and a hit by pitch. Drew is 1 for 2 today with a single and a run scored. One way to get him talking, talk hunting. He loves to hunt. Long look by Broxton and delivers a strike to Stephen Drew. Think about this roster of the Nationals. It's pretty big names that they have. Whether it be their closer Papelbon, Max Scherzer, Steven Strasburg, Ryan Zimmerman. There's a fly ball lifted out to center. Camped under it. Randall Grichuk, and coming up, one of the best in the game, Matt Carpenter, due up for St. Louis. Leadoff homer, Carpenter. Fly ball, it drops in. What a play here by Matt Carpenter. Wow.
I'd probably play right a little bit better, but I like center better because you get both gaps and you're in charge, so you get a little bit more running to do, a little more plays you can make. But yeah, anywhere out there is going to be all right.
Randall Grichuk talking to our Jim Hayes here in spring training about what position he prefers. We saw him in a series against the Mets at Citi Field put on a defensive display playing center. I mean, he was great in that series, so we know he can play all 3 outfield spots.
And that's a big outfield there, too. So it's funny how some guys like center field, think it's easier to play than others, and then there's others that are kind of terrified by the vastness of it and extra responsibility.
Right-hander Gott is in for Washington, and what a play down here at third. Skoll robbing Aledmys Diaz of an extra base hit potentially. Cardinals with just 1 hit so far.
Offense is going to be a big challenge for the Cardinals, and when you don't have your regular lineup out there, you got half of it out there, it kind of is going to be exposed at times.
Well, Mike Matheny's talked about in spring camp for the younger players or those that have been in the game for a while that have not made it to the big leagues or are back and forth, the education they can get from that man right there, Yadier Molina, or even from himself, a 4-time Gold Glover.
I know Mike today kind of excused himself a little bit early from batting practice. Didn't get a chance to talk to Dusty Baker because he was taking the young catchers in the backfields and going through some throwing drills. So one thing now, there's so much more coaching done at the major league level than any time in the past.
0-2 the count on Carpenter. Hit .272 a year ago, led the club in home runs with 28 as he strikes out.
You don't see that often where Carpenter's just fooled by a pitch. Scott's got a little bit of experience. He's been in the Angels organization. He was 4-2, 48 relief appearances last year. Was also at AA Arkansas and AAA Salt Lake.
Here's Randall Grichuk. He was saying about a week ago to various members of the media that 30 home runs certainly realistic for him if he stays healthy. Why not? Numbers would bear that out. He had 323 at bats a year ago and knocked out 17 home runs.
That's it. I think we're all intrigued by his power, and with it's going to come a certain amount of strikeouts, and would be most helpful to the Cardinal offense if they really did cut down strikeouts.
Doubled his first time up, the 2-0 pitch. Hit out of play. Had 110 strikeouts last year to go along with those 47 extra base hits.
It's 3 for 4 with his 1 for 1 today on the young exhibition season.
And the 2-1 pitch to Grichuk. In the seats again, 2-2.
I said the other day in one of the, I don't know if it was the exhibition game or not, one of the coaches' games, but they said he hit a ball off the Seacoast Bank building.
Nice play there by Johnny Bench.
I was going to say, oh, by the way, did you Namath is here at the ballpark.
Joe Namath is here?
Yeah. So him coming walking down the line with Dusty Baker.
Here's a 3-2 to Grichuk.
There's a couple misplaced people.
Yeah.
Cincinnati and Cubs. I think the Cubs are still in a rebuilding phase.
No.
Oh, okay.
I think that's over.
I think Cincinnati might be.
I would agree with that. Here's a 3-2 to Randall Grichuk. Foul back.
Good grip there.
You know, you look at the Central, and it looks to be a 3-team race in no particular order. St. Louis, Chicago, Pittsburgh. Milwaukee is rebuilding.
I think you really have to, you know, and one of the things the Cardinals have been so good at is you really have to dominate against those lesser clubs, particularly in your own division. And the Cardinals are going to really have to beat up on Cincinnati and Milwaukee.
3-2 is hit in the air out to shallow right field. So Grichuk is 1 for 2. Dusty is back in uniform. 4-0 Washington. Midwest is brought to you in part by Bomarito, where price sells cars, and by Shelter Insurance for your auto, home, and life. Visit your local agent or find us on the web at shelterinsurance.com. We're your shield. We're your shelter. Well, the 26-year-old lefty Kevin Segrist will make his first appearance this spring. What a year he had a season ago. Led the majors with 81 appearances, and while you say that's commendable, I think if the Cardinals look at it this year, you don't want to have 81 out of Kevin Segrist. You'd like to knock that down a bit.
Yeah, you would. And we may get a chance to see him pick up a few more saves. There's Greg Garcia over at third base as Carpenter's days through. Segrist did have 6 saves last year, and he would be a very capable alternate choice the days that Rosenthal needs a break.
1 ball, 1 strike. Al, we had 90 strikeouts a year ago. Do you want me to bring it up? Can I say it? 90 strikeouts, which is the record for strikeouts by a left-handed relief pitcher, surpassing my partner who had 82 in 74 and 75. You okay?
No,
you over it?
Records to be broken.
Meant to be broken.
Meant to be broken.
Now, I'd be curious to see in those years how many innings you pitched.
It was right at 100.
In relievers, our young fans wouldn't understand that. Fly ball out to left. And the catch is made by Brandon Moss. But just, the amount of innings that late inning relievers used to pitch, whether it was yourself or even a Bruce Sutter that got to 300 saves.
Well, the one of the differences, too, is today they're able to really protect the relievers. We would have a 10-man pitching staff. Rather, most of the time we're carrying 12 now. But it was all the innings you threw in the bullpen that you didn't come into a game. You get a lefty and a righty up starting from basically the 6th inning on, and they would warm up with the guy that's on the mound, and as long as the guy on the mound got people out, you stayed warming up. So there'd be days you warm up for 3 innings and don't go into a game. You never took a guy out just because it was a save situation. So I think managers today really treat their bullpens much, much better. If they try to get a guy up, only if they're going to bring him in. And if they get him up for a couple times and don't bring him in, they shut him down.
So 75, you had 65 games and 88 1/3 innings. Segrist last year again with 80+ appearances. That's third most by the Cardinals left-handed reliever in a single season, behind Steve Kline. He had 89 one year. Ray King had 86. But you think about how they threw as opposed to a guy like Segrist, who could be a power pitcher. Segrist has been working on a breaking ball, and that looked to be a fairly decent one, his previous pitch. And the 3-2 is a fly ball lifted out to center field. There's Randall Grichuk with the shades on and makes the catch.
Segrist from this area. His college baseball was at Palm Beach Community College. He resides here in Wellington, Florida. Kind of a little bit south of here, maybe 10-15 miles.
Jose Lobaton, switch inning catcher. 4-0 Washington as we play here in the top of the 5th.
Come on, Kevin.
Nationals are seeing some of the better relievers for the Cardinals after the 2 innings from McGuire. Made the start for the Cardinals. Then we saw Trevor Rosenthal, Jonathan Broxton, and now Kevin Segrist, and there's that breaking ball.
And you can tell that that's a pitch he's working on. You know, if it was a regular season game and game was in the balance, you know, he's going to go with his best stuff. But by using it down here now, maybe it becomes one of his better pitches during the season.
Fly ball, tailing into right, and the catch is made on the track. What a play. Nick Plummer. The ball just kept tailing, and the wind is pushing the ball towards the right field line. And he comes up with a dandy. 4-0 midway through 5. Forget about the great giveaways we have coming up this season. Whether it be the giveaway jerseys or the bobbleheads, you can get those in 5 or 10 game promotional packs, and single game tickets are on sale now. All you have to do is head to Cardinals.com. Bert Badenhopper, he was with Cincinnati a year ago. 32-year-old was 2-4, appeared in 68 games. ERA was just under 4, and now trying to find a spot in the bullpen with the Washington Nationals. A swing and a miss by Matt Adams, and we're underway here in the Cardinals half of the 5th, trailing 4-0. Adams has flied out to left, and he's 0 for 1 today.
Cardinals are just the one hit. Here we are with Adams getting only his second plate appearance. They got the shift on now. Third baseman playing at the shortstop position. 3 infielders on the right side. Matt always talked about that he couldn't understand why they had this alignment, because he said he never really had any problem going to left field or taking the ball the other way.
3-1. Man now 27 years of age. From Phillipsburg, Pennsylvania. Former 23rd round pick out of Slippery Rock University back in 2009. There's a strike. And the count runs full. The Cardinals with just 1 hit today, and that was the double by Randall Grichuk inside the third base line back in the 2nd inning. Adams here, Moss on deck, and then Garcia. And there's a ball, so ball 4 and a walk for Matt Adams. The hits by direction, you see 9 to left, 22 to center, 22 to right. So he will go the other way, but primarily he is going to pull the baseball. His day is through, and it brings in Brandon Moss. Rodriguez will be the pinch runner for Adams.
Likely stay in the game, play first.
And a ball taken by Brandon Moss. Moss, a free agent to be, so extra motivation for him undoubtedly coming into this season. Full year removed from right hip surgery, full off season of workouts. The strength is back. And we know he's got pop.
Yeah, I talked to him about last season. He said, you know, there'd be certain days where it felt good. There's other days, you know, it just was barking. Tried to just put up with it, but he feels he's healthy now.
Taken low and in, 2 balls and 1 strike.
Not quite the same shift. Got the runner at first base, so you have to have a middle infielder closer to second.
The 2-1 on the inside corner, 2-2. Mentioned it yesterday, the Cardinals and their first base production, it really struggled. .392 slugging percentage from that position, and that was the lowest in Major League Baseball. The 2-2. So much so they went out. Remember, we had Dan Johnson here last year.
Yeah.
He's trying to make a comeback as a knuckleballer with Tampa Bay.
Good luck.
Good luck. Well, the best guys that throw knuckleballs are
infielders.
Yeah, the infielders who play catch all the time. Runner goes, and that's ripped into right center field. Rodriguez on his way to third. He'll be waved in and score, and Brandon Moss has an RBI double to get the Cardinals on the board. It's now 4-1. Moss delivering for St. Louis here in the bottom of 5.
Now Moss, even with that bad hip last year, hit a combined 19 home runs. They feel he's got a lot of pop. Been, prior to that surgery, he was averaging about 20+ home runs a year. His day is through. Hazel Baker, outfielder. He'll go in to play the outfield as he's the pinch runner for Moss.
Brings in Anthony Garcia with a runner at second base and nobody out against Burke Badenhop, who wants to visit with his catcher. Cardinals finally get on the board. It's now 4-1 here in the bottom of 5. Garcia struck out swinging his first time up. One ball, 1 strike. We've seen the spring debut of Kevin Segrist here today. A 1-2-3 inning. Rosenthal not as sharp. Also saw Jonathan Broxton. The starter was McGuire. And a ground ball that's hit to short. Runner will advance. And there's one away with a runner at third base.
Good base running there by Hazel Baker. Baker. It's Jeremy, and the ball was hit slow enough, even though it was in front of him, he could get by the ball and get over to third base.
And it brings in the youngster Plummer.
At 520 in high school, his senior year. And the Cardinals' #1 draft pick.
He is the 8th rated prospect according to Baseball America. The first Michigan prep player picked in the first round since Ryan Anderson. Remember that name, 1997. First position player since Derek Jeter in 92. And he drives in a run. Adam Wainwright will get the start tomorrow. We'll have it for you right here on Fox Sports Midwest as we come your way at noon here from Roger Dean Stadium. Again in 2015. Swing and a miss. Got him on the outside corner, and a big strikeout there for Wainwright.
Miraculous that he recovered from the Achilles tear and ended up pitching some relief last year, and that was real important. That he could go through the offseason knowing that he was sound, he was healthy, and he thinks maybe the benefit's going to be that his arm got a lot of rest last year. Doesn't have the wear and tear.
Remember this time last year, that was the big story with all the innings that he had piled up in the postseason, and how would he recover from that, and would the Cardinals be very careful with him at spring training, which they were.
In his mind, I talked to him about it.
That's a fair ball. Backhanded, tough play, and not in time. Base hit, Eric Fryer. So Fryer is on base for the second time.
Walk earlier, now the infield single. Ball right over the bag. Nice play by the third baseman, but...
Go back to Wainwright. You talked to him?
Yeah, I talked to him. You know, in last year, he said a couple years ago his goal in spring training was to lead the, the Grapefruit League in innings pitch. Then he realized, well, what does that mean? And then last year, because of all those innings, he only made 3 starts, and he felt, that wasn't quite enough. So the game plan this year is he'll make 4 starts, and they're ready for opening day.
There's Jacob Wilson. And he'll pinch hit at the top of the lineup for the Cardinals for Colton Long. Wilson played in 89 games last year at AAA, hit .231, .225 in 34 games at AA. Off the end of the bat and into center field with a base hit.
Jacob Wilson really impressed the coaching staff a year ago, and looked like the numbers are disappointing during the season, but all you have to do is come up here, have a good spring, impress these guys, and they'll be trying to promote you as he gets a little bit older and doesn't hurt his own cause with that base hit there.
Well, last year was the first full season for Aledmys Diaz in terms of playing time and not being injured. Left Cuba in 2012, signed a 4-year, $8 million deal with the Cardinals. He had been barred from signing for a year because of misrepresenting his age. Then he missed much of 14 because of shoulder injuries, and now looks like he's fully healthy and ready to go. Quickly, no balls and 2 strikes. It's not just the numbers that have been better with Diaz, but the energy level the coaching staff has talked about as well.
As talked a little yesterday, but it's still, you have to find who's that guy that's going to be the backup to Peralta. I talked to Oquendo about Jerko, and he said he's fine. He can play shortstop, and if Jose says that, we should believe it.
So Diaz, 14 games last year at AAA, and then a very good showing at the Arizona Fall League. 1 ball and 2 strikes on Aledmys Diaz. Little squibber that will roll foul. You just think about what these guys go through, that the players that defect from Cuba. I mean, it's remarkable. Just take baseball out of the equation.
You and I were both talking with Pena. Brian Pena, the Cardinals' new backup catcher, who's 33 years of age, and he was part of the baseball contingent that went to Cuba. And there you see an old-fashioned baseball.
How about that?
The reason I say that, where's Bob Porsche? He used to be a seam ripper. He would try to tear at those seems to get that effect.
Diaz did not go as they appeal, and it's 2-2.
And the reason he would do that, he raised the seams, and he was more of a breaking ball pitcher, and so would have more of a movement on his pitches. But Pena was talking about, he left to Cuba when he was 16, and so it's been second half of his life, 17 years away from his family and friends. His parents are here now, and American citizens.
2-2 is pulled foul. The amazing thing that Brian Pena was telling us is that his uncle is a doctor and is regarded as one of the top doctors in Cuba, and he makes a total of $10 a week. And not only is he taking care of people, but he's also a teacher and professor. He said he'd be the equivalent of a guy that's from the Ivy Leagues here in the United States. As Diaz strikes out, but the Cardinals get on the board, and we have played 5 here at Roger Dean Stadium. Our score: Washington 4, St. Louis 2. The Missouri Lottery. Every ticket you play gives back to schools across Missouri. So play it forward with the Missouri Lottery. By Ford, the official cars and trucks of the St. Louis Cardinals. And by Budweiser. Windy but beautiful day here at Roger Dean Stadium in Jupiter, Florida. Along with the Mad Ungary and Al Raboski, I'm Dan McLaughlin. New pitcher is Daniel Ponce de Leon. Big kid, 6'4", 200-pounder from California. He's a 9th-round selection by the Cardinals back in 2014. Interesting story in the fact that he was drafted by 4 different teams in 4 different years. You had the Rays, the Reds, the Cubs, and then the Cardinals drafting him in 2014. And he also pitched at a number of different colleges as well.
He went to Cypress Junior College, University of Arizona, University of Houston, and then Embry-Riddle Aeronautical University. Maybe we found somebody that could talk to Piscotti.
We're going to find out how many players have made it from Embry-Riddle Aeronautical University. I would assume not many. Here's Clint Robinson at the plate.
I would assume they don't have too many satellite spots either.
Al, I'm going to say that I think you're right.
And I think we could say this the first time we've ever heard of that university, too.
Ponce de Leon. Almost not enough room on the back of the jersey to fit in the name.
Been a winner in the minor leagues. Minor league totals 14-5, 2.20 ERA.
It's 11 letters on the back of the jersey.
No hyphens, no spaces.
Saltalamacchia was a name that always came up down here in spring training that had one of the longest names on the back of the jerseys. That's popped up into shallow right, and Jacob Wilson puts it away for the out. So Ponce de Leon gets his first man.
In Florida, looking for the fountain of youth.
It's only a matter of time before one of us said that.
You're going to be a little shocked that I knew that, right?
Hey, I give you credit. Here's Brian Goodwin at the plate. 4-2 in favor of Washington. One of the absolute best parts of spring training is the fact that the fans are so close to the players, in particular near the bullpens. And we just saw Yadier Molina looked like he was leaving the ballpark, or at least the field, signing autographs. There's a ground ball off the end of the bat, hit up the middle, and 2 down. There's your championship ring from 2013, the National League championship ring.
Naka.
There's Taka, our good buddy down there. One of the team photographers for the Cardinals. Putting in some long hours down here at spring training. Wilmer Difo is at the plate. Yadier Molina signing autographs.
Well, the grassy knoll's gone, but still favorite site for autograph seekers down the right field corner.
That area right there behind the bullpen guys used to be just a grass hill in which a lot of the young fans would be there, the kids. It's now an all-inclusive area. No balls and 2 strikes. Give me the player that you really wanted to watch this spring. Is there somebody that stood out for you in the offseason that you wanted to watch?
Oh?
Yeah, I agree. We saw him yesterday. Recorded 4 outs. Somebody asked me about that today, and I said Randall Grichuk. I want to watch him play and get that playing time in center field and just see how he looks.
Well, and I think Grichuk and Piscotty and Pham, guys like that, we want to see during the regular season and see him stay healthy. I think with the money that commanded by free agents last year, and when David Price and Hayward rejected the Cardinal offers, I want to see Piscotty and Grichuk.
Ponce de Leon, a 1-2-3 6th inning. Nice work. Nationals on top 4-2. The StubHub app. Not only will you find seats you love, whenever you want, you can find the best seat for your buck when you sort by the best value. So get the StubHub app today. Nick Massett, seen him an awful lot in the National League Central Division, and now he takes over for the Nationals here in the bottom of the 6th. Greg Garcia is your hitter, and that pitch is taken low.
You can see some of these guys that signed with the Nationals, he reunited with Dusty Baker coming in as minor league free agents. Pitched for Dusty with Cincy.
Greg Garcia is trying to show that he can play shortstop and be a viable backup. We know he can pinch hit. Led the club in pinch hits last year, and you get the numbers there on Massett with Miami and Atlanta. 2-0 pitch. Pulled foul. And no big deal on the short hop on a screamer. Nice play. It's Carson Kelly, former third baseman.
For the 3rd straight year, Carson Kelly's been the youngest player in big league camp. He's finally legal. He's 21 now.
Here's a 2-1. Now 2-2.
Young third baseman. Here you see last year was a minor league Gold Glove winner at catcher.
He didn't even flinch, did he?
He was a high school third baseman. They moved him behind the plate, and he's really torn it up.
2 balls and 2 strikes, and that young fan was saved by Carson Kelly and then gets a souvenir. Greg Garcia with a bouncer towards second base. 1 away. This time of year, Al, we're about 2 weeks into spring training, but now you're starting to play in Grapefruit League action. Did you find that pitchers were way ahead of the hitters, or did it take a little bit for those hitters to catch up? What did you see?
Well, I would think that the hitters would be ahead because, hitters you could get ready in a couple weeks. Pitchers should go through a couple phases. One, your arm feels good, then you start stretching out, and you kind of have to build back the arm strength. Then you got to go through a dead arm stage, and then usually about that 5th to 6th week you start feeling pretty good again.
Good breaking ball there to buckle the knees of Randall Grichuk. And the players get down to Florida so early now, and as you talked about earlier, many of them living here full time. That's taken just a bit low. 1 ball and 2 strikes.
Well, we talked about where we saw Carpenter and Holiday hitting every day during the fantasy camp, and because Holiday moved into the area here full time now, and Oquendo living down here.
Grichuk drives it out to deep left field. A sinking liner. That ball will get down. Randall Grichuk on his way to second. And that is double number 2 on the afternoon for the Cardinals center fielders. The ball just jumps off his bat.
Not only does it jump, but it's got that different sound too. Just that crisp sound. And he's got the quick bat. He can turn on it. The big strong wind has kind of cut that ball and knocked it down. And the left fielder missed it by inches. But that's why you're intrigued by Grichuk, because it has a different sound. The ball just travels so much further, and he's a really nice young man that can play very good defense too. So, and he runs well. He's got all the aspects to be an outstanding player, and the Cardinals are going to reap that benefit.
Here's Jonathan Rodriguez. There's a fly ball that'll tail back to the right fielder. Catch is made. Grichuk will tag up. Throw is cut off, and Randall's at third. Al mentioned a different sound off the bat. Here it is. Oh, yeah.
That's how the big boys sound.
Well, I tell you what, if you're in regular season play, that ball is probably out. Because of the way that the wind is blowing, and he got a little top spin on it. You see that here in spring training, where the ball, if the wind is blowing like it is today, and it's blowing to right field, it really knocks it down. Anywhere else, it's probably gone.
Get it through there, bud.
Yeah, I think you're absolutely right. And you just get a chance to see somebody that's going to hit his fair share of home runs.
Jeremy Hazelbacher looks at a breaking ball and a strike. 0-1. The Nationals come from Vieira. It's a couple of hours away. So many times when you see those teams come to this particular facility, they don't travel that many. And that's the case here for Dusty Baker's club. On the other hand, though, when you're at home, you can load it up. That is a full dugout in there for St. Louis and a full bullpen as well.
Well, I was also going to say, it's a good time if you're going to have a fight, you want to have this fight now.
I wasn't thinking in terms of fights, but you're right. You're loaded up if you're St. Louis.
Absolutely.
You're ready. You're in a good position. Hit to the right side, and a collision at first and out. So Grichuk left stranded. Had to get back to the bag, and just in time. Little collision. Keeps it 4-2. The MLB.com bat app, and you can stay connected all spring with radio broadcasts, video highlights, stats, news, and more. Download MLB.com at bat, the #1 app for live baseball on your smartphone and tablet. Jason Martinson is the hitter. It's Ponce de Leon, his second inning of work.
Tired all three batters he faced last inning. Our apologies to Embry-Riddle Aeronautical University. They have 31 signees, professional baseball player in their history. How about that?
So you're either
Daytona Beach, Florida.
So you're playing baseball or going to space? You know what you're telling me?
I'm just saying I didn't think they had a very good baseball program, but apparently they do.
Here's a 1-1. Inside.
Bill Lee, spaceman, maybe the head coach.
I figured when you would talk to Bill Spaceman Lee that you would be on the same page with him.
I'm at the same level.
That's what I mean.
30,000 feet up.
You guys were able to connect and have a nice conversation. Everything made sense.
He was left-handed.
Little bit high. Ponce de Leon at a scoreless 6th inning.
Bill Lee's run for president a couple different times.
What?
What his constituency said the same thing.
Wait a minute.
Well, very few people know about it, but yes.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Where do you get this stuff?
From Bill Lee.
He was at your golf tournament, wasn't he?
Has been in the past.
Yeah. Remember meeting him a couple of times. That was strange.
The name Spaceman fits. You know, he still is playing competitive baseball, and he'll tell you that I threw a complete game yesterday, against the Chinese national team or some silly thing.
Really?
And
Where
when
do
he
you come
doesn't
up with this?
No, this is serious. He plays, and when he'll pitch, play another position when he doesn't pitch.
Martinson is hit by the pitch. Cardinals had Nick Plummer hit by a pitch earlier in the game.
I told you it's time to pick a fight.
I'm taking the Cardinals. We did see a few years ago Bryce Harper, who is not with the Nationals on this trip, the MVP, get kicked out of a spring training game. That's the first and only time I've seen that. You don't see guys get kicked out of spring training games very often.
There's been many a time player was hoping to be kicked out of a game, and an umpire wouldn't accommodate him.
Maybe he drives up separately.
Right.
And he's got his car and he's ready to go back to.
I've had my 2 at-bats. I want to go. The umpire will say, I have to stay here for 9, so are you.
Here's Matt Dendecker. We saw him an awful lot with the Mets in spring training the last couple of years. Fouled it back. Bryce Harper, what a year he had. 330, 42 homers, the 99 RBIs.
Unanimous choice as MVP. Dan, you said something last night at dinner that I didn't think about, but I don't think I would necessarily question it. We've heard that Bryce Harper would be eligible, 3 more years? He'd be like 26 then for free agency. Some people are saying, okay, he will get $400 million. $300 million's been, Stanton's got 3 1/4.
What did I say, 5?
You said 5.
Yeah.
And the way, $35 million a year for Greinke, a pitcher. What is a position player going to command if it keeps on going?
I mean, it sounds ridiculous, but is it? I mean, in normal terms, yeah, it's ridiculous. But is it ridiculous in terms of baseball today?
You never know. You think about 1969, I believe it was, the Sports Illustrated cover of the St. Louis Cardinals had the starting lineup plus Red Shandies.
The first $1 million team.
Yeah.
There's a double play ball.
And really it added up to about 960 some or something like that. And I think it was the 40-man roster.
And some of the names on that list in the picture, as you mentioned, Red is the manager, but you had Roger Maris on there. Mike Shannon was on there. Javier was on there.
Maxwell was probably the lowest salary, but you had Gibson, you had
Brock.
Javier was second baseman. Kurt Flood, center fielder.
Amazing.
And just remember when the first $1 million player, people thought that was crazy.
There's Chris Bostic. And quickly, no balls and 2 strikes. 4-2 Washington here in the top of the 7th. Hey, there's Jim Jackson. He's back for another year along with Rick Horton there on the right, Jim Jackson on the left. Hanging breaking ball, and it's popped foul.
All right, come on. Right there.
Rick is going to be doing television with us again, but also with Mike Shannon only doing home games this year. Rick will be doing the road games for KMOX Radio and the Cardinal television or Cardinal Radio Network.
Well, they needed a guy that could fill time, and they got the right one.
There's Mike. John Rooney checked in today. Don was doing the Valley yesterday, I guess.
Missouri Valley Conference basketball in St. Louis. We can say that about Ricky because he's a good sport. Most of the time. All the time.
Earlier in the day,
We were giving him so much trouble. We have a good group, don't we?
Yes, we do.
A lot of fun.
A lot of fun.
2-2.
We're going to get Jimmy's first game on Wednesday.
Jim Edmonds will be with us this year. Ponce de Leon, a strikeout, 2 scoreless innings. Time to stretch here at Roger Dean Stadium. 4-2, Washington. Season when the Cardinals are giving away replica jerseys. Get tickets to all those game dates to the 10-game jersey pack or buy them as a single game ticket. The single game tickets are on sale right now. Cardinals have sold already 2.6 million tickets. And there's still tickets for you for opening day. This is the lefty, Laffey, who's on the mound for the Washington Nationals, and they lead it 4-2.
Aaron Laffey.
9th season for this lefty.
He throws across his body, kind of side saddle when he takes receives the sign, the signal, and really tries to block out the release point for a hitter. More deceptive.
Luis Cruz is in at the DH spot, so he's at the plate right now. Nice note here from a big Cardinal fan. Doug Stanton wants to say hi to family and friends back home in St. Louis and enjoying the game today. Says he's a season ticket holder down here in Jupiter and also at Busch Stadium. That's Doug Stanton. There's a strikeout of Luis Cruz. Carlos Peguero, who started in left field yesterday. Big guy, 6'6", non-roster invitee, and the Cardinals giving him a look here early in spring training.
Just watch his mannerisms in the outfield yesterday. He looked pretty smooth.
Sure did. I was looking at something yesterday, Al, and I guess it was MLB.com, and they talked about the attendance, not just here in St. Louis or with the club here in Jupiter, but as Peguero drives it out to deep right field, and that's off the wall on his way to second base. But the point being, the amount of people that are coming out to spring training games, it's just through the roof in terms of attendance across the board, whether it be in Arizona or here in Florida. But the interest in the game is at an all-time high.
It's very healthy. The sport is extremely healthy, and and do some few things, continue the labor piece, and got a few things to work on. But the contract, I don't think there's anything that's going to cause a work stoppage, and thank goodness those days are over.
Alberto Rosario is at the plate.
We talked about that patch they got on there, the hat and the emblem signifying the Florida, spring training.
And there's a strike. One of the things that's come up this year, Dexter Fowler, a good example of this, is that a player wants to hit free agency. A team has a qualifying offer on them, which this year was over $15 million. That player has a draft pick attached to them. And a lot of teams will stay away from that player because they don't want to give up a first-round pick, and that's something that'll be talked about, I'm sure, in the next round of negotiations.
And, rightfully so.
Yeah.
And I'm sure that they'll come up with a workable solution. Whenever you try some of those things, it's got to be like a 2 or 3 year period where you figure out what works and what doesn't.
But the game right now, as I mentioned, the interest is so high, and they are flush in cash.
Yeah, and I think, too, one of the nice things, too, is baseball commissioner Manfred. When Bud Selig was the commissioner, Manfred was worked the labor relations, and they had all that piece. So there's mutual respect, Tony Clark and the Players Association, for Mr. Manfred, and that continues.
1 ball and 2 strikes.
Yeah, Kyle Loesch was one of the first that was victimized by that. People really value those draft picks now.
Sure do.
They shied away from those free agents.
And a fly ball that'll carry to right near the line. Catch is made for out number 2. Runner stays put. So 2 away. Jacob Wilson a chance to get the Cardinals their 3rd run or add to that and try to tie this game up with 1 swing of the bat. It's 4-2 Washington as we play here in the bottom of the 7th. Wilson's the kind of guy that when you think about him, when I watch him, and I saw him play an awful lot in spring training last year and handles the glove very well, various positions around the infield, you kind of get the feeling he could be your Daniel Descalso type or Skip Schumacher in years past.
He made a real impression with the coaching staff a year ago. They liked what they saw. Round selection back in 2012.
Here's a 1-0 pitch. Take it for a strike. Saw one of those utility players from the 06 team back at fantasy camp, and that was Aaron Miles. Good to see him.
Yep.
Little switch hitter that really fit the mold for Tony La Russa in terms of versatility and could play around the diamond.
And contributed offensively with just a little pesky hitter. Wilson did have 18 home runs a year ago. Split time between AA Springfield and Memphis.
Here's a 2-1 pitch to Jacob Wilson. 2-2. We're talking about Bill Spaceman Lee still playing independent ball or various leagues, wherever they may be. Lord knows.
Yeah, that's true.
Aaron Miles is still playing independent baseball. He was managing and coaching and playing even just a year ago. Hard to believe it's been 10 years since that 06 team. Hard to believe it's been 10 years of Busch Stadium 3.
Yeah. You think about that 06 team, if there would have been another week to the schedule, you wonder if they would have qualified. They were on fumes, but then it seemed like a couple days later when they started playing against San Diego, when their first opponent, they got healthy and they played the best.
3-2 pitch and a strikeout of Wilson. Laffey, though, will take it. Fans don't like it, and that sends us to the 8th. The pages of the new Post-Dispatch book, Busch Stadium, a decade of excellence. Highlights include photos, memories, season recaps of each year, and excerpts by reporter Derek Gould and Hall of Fame writer Rick Hummel. Order Busch Stadium, a decade of excellence, now at stltoday.com/BuschBook. Robert Durker is here, celebrating his retirement after 40 years at Mercy. Happy retirement. No better way to spend it than in the sunshine down that third base line and taking in some baseball. Here's Corey Luttrell. Luttrell came along with John Lackey in cash from the Boston Red Sox in exchange for Alan Craig and Joe Kelly back in 2014.
Luttrell's grandfather was a big leaguer. Infielder with the Philadelphia and Kansas City Athletics, the Chicago Cubs, back in 1952 to 57.
And an 0-1 pitch to Reed Johnson.
Luttrell was actually drafted by the Washington Nationals back in 2010, but did not sign, and then was in the 5th round by Boston when he did sign in 2013.
Last year, 9-9 his record, 27 games that he pitched in, 17 starts at Palm Beach. And a high fly ball lifted into right, pushing towards the line, and the catch is made. Yeah, we talked about it a little bit yesterday. It's just hard to believe what's happened with Alan Craig, who has, I believe, $11 million for this year and $13 million left on his deal, guaranteed, and not on the 40-man roster for the Boston Red Sox. David Ortiz will retire this year. They're looking for candidates at first base. Hanley Ramirez has been talked about moving there for Boston. Craig hit about 270 last year at AAA for the Red Sox.
Well, obviously, at the end of his tenure with the Cardinals, he wasn't healthy.
Yeah.
But never said anything about it. He had some injuries that took him out. But for a guy that 2 years led the National League in, hitting with runners in scoring position, then just fall flat. Such a good guy, too. Good team player. And wish him nothing but the best.
Here's Scott Sizemore at the plate. He's at third base now for Washington. .130 and a third innings pitch last year for Corey Luttrell. Back and forth from the rotation and the bullpen, and that's driven into left center field, and that ball will get down. Sizemore is looking for extra bases. He'll get them. So a double with one out here in the top of the 8th. We'll be back with you tomorrow. What's on Tap is presented by Budweiser, Mets and Cardinals, and the spring training debut of Adam Wainwright. He'll get the call tomorrow. We'll come your way at noon, and you'll see that game on Fox Sports Midwest at noon St. Louis time.
Trail won't be 24 until later this month. Still a relatively young lefty.
Well, you'd have to say that's a deal that worked out incredibly well for the Cardinals. Lackey was good down the stretch after he was acquired. Then last year he was really good. Career year for John Lackey. We talked about Craig. Kelly had his ups and downs with Boston in their rotation. And the Cardinals also picking up Luttrell. And then you think about the money aspect of that deal with Lackey pitching for the minimum.
Now you always got to factor that in today.
That's how you build a roster to an extent, is the parameters of what you can spend.
That also bodes well for the Cardinals, that they're competitive, and you know, with them not going out and signing some of these expensive free agents, they'll have that money available if needed to get them over the top during the course of the season.
2-0 changeup taken high, now 3-0. Much of the focus of the national media has been on the Chicago Cubs with the additions of Lackey and Hayward. You can understand why. Very good core and nucleus, young, that put up big numbers last year. Chris Bryant, Anthony Rizzo, Schwarber came on in the postseason, as we saw.
I don't think anybody can argue with what Jason Hayward said. You know, it's factual. But, I mean, you could point to that the Cardinals do have a core group of young players also, that next one's coming around. But we'll see how the Cubs players like life at when you're up there on the top and everyone's gunning for you. Comes a little extra pressure.
There's Pedro Severino at the plate. Cardinals with a right-hander getting loose in their pen. 4-2 as we play here in the top of the 8th. Check swing, and he did go. 1 ball, 1 strike.
Stay down there.
One and two. Little check swing hit down the right field line and out of play. One of the really neat things about being at this particular facility is the fact that the young players are mixed in with those major leaguers. So a chance to see in the clubhouse the Wainwrights and the Molinas of the world, who are always willing and available to talk to the young players. One of the pictures that you see that's in the clubhouse too is Dave Ricketts, George Kissel. Two guys that left such an impact here. That's ripped down the left field line, and that is a fair ball. A ground rule double, so a run will score. Runner is stopped at third base. RBI double to make it 5-2.
He's right on top of the plate, gets the ball up out over the middle of the plate, and he just turned on it. About a foot in fair territory and bounces over for the ground rule double. Infield in.
And that pitch is taken low and outside.
Yeah, we talked about a little bit yesterday that you want to see a guy at times get in a little trouble and see if he can work his way out of it. A good one in the outfield to hit to the opposite field.
Brian Goodwin is your hitter. Infield is drawn in. Runners at second and third. 2 balls, no strikes. 2-1. That's a foul ball. 2-2.
Can't strike anybody out until you get 2 strikes on him. Now he's got 2. It used to be one of those good times where runners at second and third just went out to get a strikeout.
Two and 2 the count. And a swing and a miss. Comes back to get him after falling behind 2 balls and no strikes.
That's what we're talking about. When you get yourself in a little jam, can you fight your way out of it? Gets a strikeout for the second out. Strand those 2 out at second and third.
Wilmer Defoe is your hitter. Good to see Dusty Baker back in the major leagues. A couple years away from the game after being let go by Cincinnati. And let's face it, he's got a good team here with the Washington Nationals.
I talked to him the other day when Dusty was here to play the Marlins, and he said he picked the Marlins to win last year. And now he's managing the Nationals, who are underachievers. And he's trying to change things. They said Matt Williams lost the control of that clubhouse, and that's one of the things they think that Dusty, being such a player manager and great player in his own right, he'll be able to control that clubhouse and change things. To deal with a superstar in Barry Bonds, and did that very well. Had no problems with it, so I think he's the right man for the job. And he's getting about 50% of what he made his last job with Cincinnati. So he wants to be back in baseball for the right reasons.
Here's a 2-1. And a ground ball that's hit to third, backhanded. And the play made by Greg Garcia. Nationals pick up a run, add to their lead. We're midway through 8, 5-2. Washington on top.
25's going north with us. That's usually on the to-do list. After that, just start to find roles, whether it's in the bullpen, and trying to get guys to a point where they're ready to compete, and that has to do with health. That has to do with everybody being in a good position physically and mentally.
Mike Matheny will turn 46 in September, and he's made as many playoff trips as Buck Showalter, Clint Hurdle, and Bob Melvin. Think about that, what he's done in his first 4 years at the helm. That was Mike talking about his approach here in spring training of 2015, or 16, I should say. But he's done a terrific job here with the club.
Won 374 ball games. He's the manager of the Cardinals. First manager in Major League history to take his team first 4 years into postseason play. The Cardinals have been there 5 straight years. A little easier now because you have the double wild card. In Mike's first year, they did win that double wild card.
Michael Brady is the new pitcher now for the Nationals. They lead 5-2. Aledmys Diaz for St. Louis. The old infield fly rule also helped out Mike in that first game against Atlanta.
Oh, yes.
No balls and 2 strikes. You may recall it was a ball that fell between Pete Kozma and Matt Holliday and left, and by all accounts, call that went the Cardinals' way, and certainly if it didn't, you could have understood why.
And think about it too, because it was a playoff game, you had the extra umpires.
Right.
So it was that umpire down the left field line that the play was right in front of him who ruled that, oh, that's an easy catchable ball. But they didn't catch it.
Here's a 1-2 pitch, and now time is called. Nationals have a right-hander and a lefty getting loose. No activity in the Cardinals' pen as Diaz strikes out. Called third strike, looking on the inside corner. First out here in the bottom of the 8th. Fox Sports Midwest is giving you a behind-the-scenes view of your St. Louis Cardinals with news, features, and more on Cardinals Insider. This week, they took a tour of Roger Dean Stadium. Also, you'll get an inside look at how Stephen Piscotty spent his offseason. Here from John Mozeliak. Cardinals Insider brought to you by your Mid-America Chevy dealers. And it's coming up next on Fox Sports Midwest. Your host, Lindsey Weber. Kyle McClellan is also a part of that show. St. Louis native and former Cardinals reliever, and at one point starter. Ray Garcia looking for his first base hit this spring. One out, nobody on. The 0-1 pitch. Think about how these hitters are so accustomed to seeing video and using video throughout the regular season. And spring training games, there might be 5, 6, 7 pitchers used, so video is out the door.
You just have to trust your old instincts. Old school. No video.
That's off the new netting that you see above the dugouts, both sides of the ballpark. 2-2 the count. Major League Baseball taking precautions, trying to have safety as a major priority in terms of the fans that are that first, second, third row right behind the dugouts. The 2-2 hit out of play.
I think that'll be at every ballpark within a year or two.
I would say it's a wise move by Major League Baseball. The 2-2.
I know Major League Baseball is not doesn't have anything against dentists because they do sell cotton candy.
The fly ball into shallow right. And Garcia is 0 for 2 today.
He's trying to avoid some dental work. Managers and coaches put in some long hours in Florida, don't they? Not that they don't do it during the regular season also, but
it's from the hotel to the ballpark, back to the hotel, and do it again the next day. Here's David Washington. We heard from Mike Matheny talk about his approach this spring training, and you think about the competition. Certainly you're going to have that at first base. And as we talked about here a couple of times yesterday and today, that bullpen, a lot of competition out there.
Tough battles right there. Could be a few guys that have the numbers that should stay in the big leagues, but probably can't run into the numbers game.
1-2 the count. Cardinals rotation was the best in baseball a year ago, and this year it should feature Wainwright. We'll see him tomorrow. Michael Wacha, Mike Leake, Jaime Garcia, Carlos Martinez. And this ball is skied into shallow right field. Right fielder coming on. He won't get it. Second baseman lost it, and it turns out to be a double for David Washington.
That's why you put your head down and run the bases. But second baseman had no clue where this ball was. The first baseman probably was the closest defender to it. And then the right fielder, when he picked it up, had no chance to get in there. Just a couple feet, but that's the high skies you have here and the wind that blows in Florida. Sometimes it works to the benefit of a pitcher, and other times it hurts you.
Jonathan Rodriguez, your hitter. First pitch, a strike.
What happened to the most famous J-Rod?
John Rodriguez.
John Rodriguez. For about a week, wasn't it?
Yep. Hit sharply to third off the bat of Jonathan Rodriguez, and he's retired. So the Cardinals strand a runner. We head to the ninth in a 5-2 ball game. Your new pitcher for St. Louis, 5-2 in favor of Washington. Nationals got 4 runs in the first 3 innings, added another one in the 8th, and they lead it by the score of 5-2 in a beautiful day here at Roger Dean Stadium in Jupiter, Florida.
The Cardinal minor leagues are not in session yet. That's probably, what, a week away or so? But they do have a small mini camp of some of their top prospects, and Arturo Reyes is one of those. So getting a chance here to pitch in the A game. Nick Plummer, who's Cardinals' #1 draft pick, started this game. He's one of those players.
Jason Martinson is your hitter for Washington, and he flies out to right for the first out. Make sure you tune in tomorrow. It'll be the debut of spring for Adam Wainwright. Also, Matt Holliday, we anticipate, will play first base tomorrow. He has never played any other position outside of designated hitter or left field in his major league career, and those are the numbers for Matt Holliday since 2009 when the Cardinals acquired him at the trade deadline from the Oakland Athletics.
Remember, there was a little speculation, and I was one that wanted to see the possibility of Holliday playing first base last year when Adams was out and Holliday was coming back from his first quad injury.
Matt Dendecker with a ground ball to first. Reyes covers the bag, and there's 2 down.
But because you're in the middle of the season, it's kind of not fair. But this year, Holliday said, okay, I could see where this could help the ball club. So he had Jose Cardinal. He had Oquendo, who's down here in Florida now, both of them living here. And he said, come on, meet me at the complex and go through the footwork with me. He did, he was a third baseman in college, and also the first couple of years in minor leagues, he was a third baseman. So he's trying to reacclimate himself to the footwork around the bag, and Jose feels like he'd be fine if he wanted to do that. And Matt, at 36 years of age, is hoping he'll end his career with the Cardinals, but there's a mutual agreeable option for next year. But if you play another position, you enhance yourself for not only the Cardinals but a future team beyond this year.
Chris Bostic is at the plate. 3 balls, no strikes. Reyes trying to put together a 1-2-3 top of the 9th. And he walked him on 4. Holliday is now the elder statesman of the club. That was a title that was occupied by Randy Choate, who has since moved on, and now Holliday, at the age of 36, the oldest player on the roster for the St. Louis Cardinals.
It's one you don't really want.
He keeps himself, though, in such great condition.
And I think he's in better shape now than we've seen.
And he's always hit. I mean, the guy has just been a terrific player since he made his debut back in 2004 with the Rockies.
And he's been a good Cardinal. You really put the numbers together. He's paid a lot of money, but he's produced.
A ball and a strike.
They're calling that a foul tip there.
0-2.
So that'll make it 0-2.
Ask any time.
O2 pitch, and it's swung on and missed. Sends us to the bottom of the 9th. See if the Cardinals can't come back. They trail 5-2 here on Fox Sports Midwest. Midwest, and Brandon Moss is our Budweiser player of the game with an RBI double into right center. That was midway through. Cardinals at that point trailed 4-2, and now they trail 5-2. Brandon Moss is your Budweiser player of the game. Well-traveled cap right there. Sun-drenched afternoon here at Roger Dean Stadium. Anyway, that's the guy that we see every spring. Hazelbacher takes a ball. We're underway here in the bottom of the ninth.
The Cardinals can't put a little charge in thing. Nick Lee is the new pitcher.
And a ground ball right side. Lead to the bag and out.
Nice little feed. Do a lot of this in spring training, PFP. That's twice. Hazelbecker's had a race to the bag at first base, and now the umpires are kind of looking at, you know, it's late afternoon, 3 runs. Cardinals might put a rally in it. I'll just miss the first one.
Oh, yeah?
Oh, yeah. No replay in spring training. It helped last night, or yesterday, for a Cardinal victory.
Here's Patrick Wisdom. And he looks at a strike. A 1 pitch. Taken just a bit low.
When do you think Wisdom will be making his major league debut?
Not far away. And you think about when these guys get to Double-A, that's the next step. You know, many players have made that transition. Instead of going to Triple-A, they go to Double-A, skip Triple-A, and then make it to the big leagues.
I used to think that if you could succeed at Double-A, just a matter of time before you were going to be a major leaguer. It's just refining your skills. But now I think the biggest jump is from Triple-A to the big leagues.
Patrick was at Double-A last year, 114 games at 237. Popped up into shallow right. 2 down. And the Cardinals are down to their final out. Carlos Peguero is the final home for St. Louis.
Hit the ball with authority his last time up, a double. Into right center, off the wall.
Good breaking ball.
Got the shift on for Peguero, who we talked about, big guy.
6'6", 250 pounds. Pulls that foul. Cardinals down to their final strike. 0-2 the count.
Hammer.
The 0-2 pitch. 1-2. Again, we're on the air tomorrow at noon. Adam Wainwright will make his spring training debut. .55-footer to the screen.
He likes this one. Just a little bit short.
Oh. 1,671 career wins for Dusty Baker.
He had very good playing career.
19 years as a player, 20 as a manager. Majority of that in San Francisco. He's the 6th manager now of the Nationals since their arrival in D.C. back in 2005.
Played against Dusty when he was with the Atlanta Braves, Dodgers.
2-2 is a base hit. No. Lined out to right. Couldn't drop, and that's it. That's the ball game as Washington holds on for a 5-2 win against the St. Louis Cardinals here at Roger Dean Stadium.
It looks like we have another ball game in the books. Nobody gets hurt in the ball game, so even though the Cardinals lose, they still win by no injuries.
So the final is 5-2 in favor of Washington. Back to wrap it up in just a moment on Fox Sports Midwest.